Coming up on this episode of Up for Debate, I can't tell you because it's a mystery. We're talking about mysteries, everything mysterious and clues and puzzles and solving and what's the conclusion. You'll just have to figure it out alongside Matt and I as we talk about everything mysteries here on this episode of Up for Debate. This is Up for Debate, episode number 68, recorded December 1st, 2016. It's a mystery. I spelled mystery wrong on the title graphic. Hi, everybody.
Whoops.
I'm Sean Jennings, joined as always by Matt Mariani. And we're talking about mysteries this week, Matt.
Yeah, how's it going, Detective Sean?
It is, I don't know how it's going. It's that mysterious, Matt. We don't even know how it's going.
Oh.
Now, when I hear it's a mystery, the first thing I think of is Clue. Right? We're going to talk about the game Clue, right? I think we already did that, didn't we?
That's a really good game. I'm sure we have. We've talked about a lot of things on this show. And Clue, I'm sure, was one of the first things. Clue is a great game. It's a great movie. Oh, my God. Have you seen the movie Clue?
Believe it or not, I have not seen the movie Clue, which is crazy. And did you
know? That is fantastic.
Did you know when that movie was in theaters, they actually showed multiple different endings depending on what theater and showing you were?
3 different endings.
That's so great. Why don't movies do that anymore?
I have no idea. Why does, no other movie has done that. That's it's so. Age. I thought that would be so revolutionary, like a choose your own story, basically. And I mean, your ending of your movie would have been completely different from your buddy's ending, maybe if you saw it in a different movie theater.
Well, and I think in the age of Facebook and social media, I think it would be even more popular because then you'd be like, all right, my friend saw one ending, I didn't see it. I'm a big fan of the movie. I got to go back and see it so I see the other ending. I'm sure a lot of people didn't even know there were multiple endings because there was no way to tell people like you can today.
Yeah, you basically had to hear it from somebody at work or somebody at school. There wasn't really right, exactly. There was no Facebook to contact each other. About different endings. It's a cool concept when you think about it. It reminds me of now we have director's cuts. We have different endings to Blade Runner and the director's ending and the movie ending. But I would have gone to see Avatar if it had 2 different endings or 3 different endings. I think that's really cool. And we were just talking in our previous episode that you guys should totally go and listen to. We were talking about new ideas that they could use in movies. I think this is another one.
I agree.
I'm just kind of shocked that they used it and then everybody forgot about it. Someone put it in a movie and then it just went completely disregarded, basically.
Yeah, I remember I read once that there was a movie theater that did an experiment, a trial thing where you could, at a point in the movie, they had a little keypad next to your seat and you could actually put in vote on what would happen at the end of the movie, and whatever the crowd picked was the ending they showed you.
That's a cool novelty. And then in this new tech-heavy society, I'm sure that would be extremely easy to do. I mean, not that you want to encourage people to use smartphones in a theater. You definitely don't. But this might be one exception that could make the experience a little more engaging.
The biggest piece that makes this possible today is digital projection, right? If you wanted to swap out endings, you used to have to actually swap a physical film reel. Now it's just a digital file they play on a computer. So there's no reason to think they couldn't be swapping in files pretty seamlessly with the right setup. So I think now's the perfect time to be trying things like that.
Yeah, I think so, and I don't see why we don't get more of it.
We're missing out, Matt. I'm telling you. Mysteries, Matt. Where do you want to start on mysteries?
What's the biggest mystery you can think of? The
biggest mystery that I can think of. All those poor souls lost in the Bermuda Triangle.
Really? That's the biggest mystery?
No, I don't know.
The biggest mystery I can think of right off the bat why don't more people watch our show? That to me is a
You think
big
that's a
mystery.
mystery?
I don't really get it.
Man,
I haven't really cracked that case,
that's the
but
easiest case to crack. Are you kidding me? I can think of many reasons. That's not a mystery. That's like as close to a scientific fact as you can get. There's nothing flim flam about that. Jeez. Good try though. Good try.
yes. Well, be that as it may, that mystery aside, one that we will probably never
I was going to
solve.
say, the real mystery is, why does anyone watch this show? That one also should be easy. But yeah, mysteries.
I think, mysteries as a genre are one that are they're very hard to pull off. I think they're very difficult to pull off successfully. I think because it's a trope that I think has been done almost to death, but at the same time, like, keeps on surprising us. You know, like, for example, you think like mystery. Well, what does that entail? Like, somebody go missing? Does an object go missing? Is there a murder that's being investigated? I think that a lot of the modern mysteries today, I think, have kind of like segued themselves into like crime procedural a little bit. I feel like the straight up mystery you don't see a ton of, especially in movies today.
Well, that's why I like the idea of defining a mystery, because to me a crime procedural isn't a mystery in the way I would use the term. For me, a mystery has to be more subtle than that. I think you almost don't need to know you're solving a mystery to have a mystery. You know what I mean? I think that if it's obvious that you're trying to solve something, then it's not a good mystery.
So you think if there's an obvious like code to crack, basically, if there's an obvious problem that needs to be solved,
maybe that just makes it a shitty mystery. I'm not sure. I mean, the Da Vinci Code is a shitty mystery. I guess you could say, because it is a mystery. I don't even know if I would
really call that a mystery, though. I think that was just a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, and that's my point.
I don't know if I'd call that mystery, or if I would just call that a lot of made up things that kind of interwove into history a little bit, but then you find out all of it's like kind of made up and kind of, it's very stretched and convoluted history. It was more like a scavenger hunt, really. It was kind of like a scavenger hunt with a real like bare bones mystery. I think you need a couple of things. You need a problem. It doesn't have to be a terribly obvious problem, but you need a problem that needs to be solved. You need some people who are maybe experts in the field, maybe even not, but maybe have some kind of skill. They have to have some kind of skill. They have to know what they're doing. They have to know how to. They can't kind of just fumble their way into the mystery. Otherwise, unless they're extremely lucky, it just doesn't work. They have to be smart in one particular area, or like Sherlock Holmes, and just be a well-rounded genius. You have to have some kind of skilled people. And I think another thing a good mystery has is that depth. It's got to have like a depth to it that the protagonist kind of see the tip of the iceberg, and there's like the tip of the iceberg is like the first act of the movie, and then the like second act maybe like you see the rest of the big iceberg underneath.
Yeah,
I think those are a good mystery right there.
I would say it's about having pieces. I think good mystery has pieces you have to put together. For what bothers me is when people confuse mystery with horror. Stephen King, I think, gets more credit than he deserves, because some of what he writes is mystery, some of what he writes is just straight up horror. If your goal is simply to escape something, or to get away with something, or simply even just to discover something, I think that's almost not really a mystery. A mystery for me involves many things coming together to a single conclusion. on its most basic. And then I agree with the points you just made on top of that. But, let's not confuse that with the simple act of getting from point A to point B. That's not a mystery. I think getting to point A requires you to touch on points 1, 2, and 3 before getting to B. Then you're starting to get to mystery territory, and you need all 3 points before you can get there. It's pointless. And for me, the best mysteries are the ones that mix a combination of easy pieces to find, hard pieces to find, pieces you didn't know you needed to find, surprise pieces, pieces being taken away, all of that leading up to a conclusion, good or bad.
Yeah, it's got to have that roller coaster too, right? It's got to have that arc where sometimes the mystery, like everything changes, and you're like, what? And then it looks like they start square one, but like they have to find new pieces. Pieces are constantly shifting and putting themselves back together in different ways. Mystery almost takes on its own form. Like as it's being written, it's kind of just.
Well, the mystery is a character.
Yeah, it is a character, I think, in itself.
Now, what do you think of the difference for me? Because I used to read a lot of mysteries when I was a young lad, and I enjoyed them quite a lot. And then I sort of outgrew them, and I switched into a genre I like to call nonfiction mystery, which is the idea of real life stories that are in many ways mysteries, that are real. I mean, I don't know if you have any thoughts on the fiction versus nonfiction mystery comparison, whether it be in books or movies or just in stories in general. I think I like the nonfiction stories simply because there's that element of I can't believe this is real. That this element of it has a different dimension to it because you realize this was something that had actually happened. Like you even watch, although again we're stretching it a bit when you talk about like Dateline or 2020 or some of these more murder type stories. Is that a mystery? You're stretching it a bit.
See, I don't really know. Yeah, I don't really know if this category would fit in with my definition of mystery. Because, like, a mystery almost has to be. It can be nonfiction. It can definitely have happened in real life. But I think just the way the story is told, I'm sure whether or not it's like a crime. If the mystery is like revealed too soon to the audience, like for example, Gone Girl, the movie, not the book.
Mm-hmm.
The movie is kind of reveal happens like very early. It kind of like is too early for it to be considered a mystery because the audience knows what happened to the girl, right? They know where she went very, very early in the story. Not in the field until but the movie, just the way it's told, kind of ruins that mystery vibe that it has going up until that point. And I think it could have been a mystery, a very good mystery at that. And that in itself is kind of like a real life mystery. Dateline, or if it's like a 2020, I don't know if I'd consider those to be. I think those are like unsolved murders. Like that could be a real life mystery, but only because it hasn't been solved yet. Like it hasn't been put together. But I don't know. Most of the mysteries I read are fictional, and they at an end. There's a solid conclusion in there. I like those kind of mysteries. Harlan Coben, easily my favorite mystery author right there.
Mm-hmm.
He's fantastic, and he has a way of making these very realistic, and like it could any one of his stories could very easily happen in the real world. I like those mysteries the best, I think. The super realistic ones.
I might challenge you a little bit. Are they set in some version of reality? Sure. Are they particularly practical? Some more so than
others. It's not practical, but I'm saying they could definitely exist.
They're
any one of them, I think can easily exist.
Plausible but highly unlikely.
If the right elements came together, if the appropriate elements were to combine, I think that absolutely, it's like there's nothing that precludes. It's not like the Da Vinci Code where like there's there's no like great force precluding this from happening in the real world.
True. Yeah, and I think that was one of the things that made Stephen King a great author was, a lot of his stories had science fiction elements, but they were always based in small towns with real seeming people that you sort of would say, okay, I realize it's a science fiction element, but I'll accept that fact and say, okay, it's not that far based out of reality. Some of these sort of big mystery stories that, like Da Vinci Code, that sort of try to span these big lengths of time and history, and you kind of say, all right, now you're pushing a little bit. You may want to slow down.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you think, if anything, how do you think movie, like book, how do you think the medium, when the medium changes, how do you think a mystery story also has to change? Like if it's a mystery told in a book, how is that different from a mystery that might be told in a movie?
I think movies are a fantastically shitty genre for mysteries. I really do. I think movies are a very hard place to set up mysteries because of a number of reasons. One, time, right? Usually an hour and a half to 2 hours is not enough time. Two, because it's a visual medium and not a written medium, you have to be you have to force feed the audience a lot to make them. The worst thing you can do is make the audience feel either stupid or behind, or you have to keep them up with the story. And in a movie, that requires, kind of hand feeding them a lot of details. That's why I think books are a great medium for mysteries in that, you can say a lot in the words that you can't say in a movie, right? Where in how you describe something or how you describe a person or the context you use or the way even the pages are formatted can play a lot in how a mystery works. Movies, I don't think you have as much flexibility, frankly. I'm trying now to think of a good example of a mystery book that was turned into a good mystery movie. And I struggle to think of one because I just think the book allows a mystery to breathe and sort of exist on its own in a way a movie kind of shoves it in and says, we got to quickly get to this because we're running out of time to solve it. TV, I think, kind of splits the difference a little bit because you can spread it out a little more, but even then, it's difficult.
Yeah, I think a mystery is, and I think that kind of makes sense going off what you were saying. As to why there are so many mystery books, but so few comparatively mystery movies, at least so few good, well-made ones. The movies, I think, were successful not because of the mystery aspect. I think they were successful because I think Robert Downey Jr. just did a really good rendition of the character. I think the character themselves being the operative word there. And those movies succeeded on the virtue of their characters, not really so much of the mysteries or the stories that they told. The mysteries, they work super well in books, and I think you can engage with the mystery like we talked about before. The mystery being a character. You can engage with the mystery on a more personal and intimate level in a book rather than like kind of a made for 90-minute film or made for 120-minute film. It doesn't really lend you the time that you should have to engage with the mystery.
You have to think about it. You have to use your brain power to solve a
Yeah.
mystery. It's not like a horror movie where it's shoved in your face and said, enjoy this. No, you really have to think, and I think that's what's great about books is very rarely does someone sit down and read the whole book in a single sitting. You have time to think while doing other things about that mystery.
Yeah. Yeah, you have time to kind of meditate on it. Even books on tape or Audible or any kind of ebook listening app. Like you can just kind of each one of those takes about 20 to 24 hours. So you could really like think about that. You can pause it, pick it up later. A movie, it's kind of like a finite, much fewer duration. Kind of comes and goes.
Yeah, and that's not to, we talked a little bit earlier tonight about movies with twists, right? Which I think is kind of the cheapest way to get out of having a mystery, is rather than it's more of that surprise factor than it is a more kind of organic reaching of a conclusion. The Sixth Sense, the idea is throughout the whole movie you're supposed to be putting the pieces together that Bruce Willis is dead the whole time. But by the time you get to the end, I don't think many people picked up on those clues. I think it was really that last reveal that really kind of forced it on people. And that's something I think that is limiting by that format.
Yeah. What's an interesting topic that we haven't really talked about it yet, but this is an actual medium that mystery is starting to find itself inserted into: video games. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Telltale. Is a video game company. They have I think most of their games are mystery in nature. But the one that I can definitely right off the bat is what was it? It's about anyway, it's a series about a you look like you knew what I was talking about, and I was hoping you were going to bail me out.
No, I want to hear you explain it.
All right. So anyway,
because you're talking about the Wolf Among Us, right?
The Wolf Among Us. Thank you. I couldn't remember the name of it.
It's
I got
based
stuck
on
on
a
the
series
title.
of graphic novels,
Yes.
the Fables books. Yes.
Yes, The Wolf Among Us. All right, is a story was put out by the Telltale Games company. It's basically it's a mystery. It's an entire mystery, basically a mystery novel, but put in video game form. I think that's a really good medium for a mystery. It kind of blends that finite space that you have in a movie, but at the same time, because there's only a certain amount of cutscenes, a certain amount of storytelling actually going on. But just like a book has a finite amount of pages in it, you can kind of like take your own time and go at your own pace and really think about the mystery. Think about the implications of your actions. Think about the implication of every clue that you find, and you piece it together in your own mind. And I think that's really what makes a mystery great, is when you're the one kind of figuring it out as it's going along, alongside the character you're either playing as or reading as or interacting with. That's really what makes a mystery great, I think, is you trying to figure it out step by step and given the time to figure it out as well. That's why most mysteries, when they're movies, are either horror or they're thriller. Mm-hmm. They're not really true mysteries because, like we said before, they're basically figured out for you, not really with you in mind. As the ride is still going, the carousel is still going whether you're on it or not. But in the book, in the video game format, even in the TV to a lesser extent, you get to be a part of that ride.
Yeah. By the way, if you enjoyed that, I'm told I haven't actually played it. That Telltale has a new Batman series that
Oh yeah.
is in the same format that I hear is quite good.
Yeah. I haven't played it yet, but yeah, it's supposed to be another. It's in the same vein. It's a mystery,
Mm-hmm.
kind of play as you go mystery. I know they also did a Left 4 Dead series that was less of a mystery and more kind of following the story of the Left 4 Dead universe. But there were some mystery elements definitely in there.
I totally forgot about Left 4 Dead.
The show or the
game? The game.
Oh, the game, the Telltale game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a thing.
That was really popular.
I think they ran two seasons of that.
I like that game.
Yeah.
Huh.
That was pretty cool. That was more about choices and the consequences of your choices, less about a mystery. But I think there were some scenes where there was like a little bit of a mystery element, things you had to figure out or piece together, puzzles.
Yeah, I like that. Matt, any last thoughts on mysteries before we wrap this one up? I don't think there's any mystery here that we're out of time.
Oh yeah, no mystery there. I like that mystery, the one that like doesn't hold your hand, and the one that like really makes you think and makes you question everything. And that's definitely not the Da Vinci Code, because I think that is kind of the equivalent of like baby food or baby formula for like the mystery person. But get out there and read some mystery books. They're good.
I think we have some homework for people, right? Harlan Coben, The Wolf Among Us. That's your homework. Now,
both of them good stuff. Don't regret it.
Now, Matt, before I wrap up, I do have to ask: is that a picture of you on a pillow behind you?
Nope, that's going to be a mystery for the rest of our days.
That's what I thought. All right, Matt. Well, you're gonna have to tune in next time to figure out who's in Matt's bed this week. But until that happens, we thank all of you for joining us. Of course, our website, upfordebate.tv. Go there because we'll have all the episodes past, present, and future for you to enjoy. And of course, there, click the subscribe button. And you should do that because it tells you all the places you can get the show on, places like iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, YouTube, and much more. And of course, you can follow us at Up for Debate TV on Twitter and Facebook.com/UpForDebateTV. That's it for us. We'll be back next time with more great discussion. On behalf of Matt, this is Sean, thanking all of you for joining us and saying for sure we can't wait to see you next time on Up for Debate.